Okay, so the bottom of page 184, this is the last chapter. Very exciting. Let's see what happened. Ellie saved the boy, but let's see what happens next. She said, "You'll be okay, boy. You'll be okay," one of them said. "Is this your doggie? She saved your life." Jeffrey didn't answer, but he lifted his head to look into my eyes. I licked his cheek with one quick swipe of my tongue. "Let's go," someone shouted, and one of the men gently pulled Jeffrey's hands loose from my fur. They picked Jeffrey up and ran with him up a hill to a street. When they loaded him into a white truck, it took off with its siren screaming. So what kind of truck do you think that could be? I stayed where I was. My legs were shaking with tiredness, and it was all I could do to lift my head enough to vomit, to throw up, to vomit out the river water that had gotten into me. Then, when I put my head down on my paws and lay still, the cold rain pelting me. The siren of a police car wailed, getting louder, coming closer. I glanced up the hill without lifting my head. "Ellie!" Maya screamed. She slid and scrambled down the hill to my side. I was too tired to wag my tail, but I was glad to see her. If she wanted to play tug-of-war, though, that might have to wait until later. Maya was soaking wet. Tears and rainwater were mixing on her cheeks. She hugged me nearly as tightly as Jeffrey had done. "You're a good dog, Ellie. You saved Jeffrey. You are such a good dog. I thought I'd lost you, Ellie." After a while, Maya stopped crying and helped me up the hill, holding my collar and talking to me gently. With her arms around my chest, she hoisted. So that's a word we've seen several times. So remember, hoisted means to lift up. So she hoisted me up into the back seat of the police car, and we drove straight to the place where the man in the white coat looked me over from my nose to my tail. I spent the night there, which I wasn't too happy about, but in the morning I got to go back to Maya and Al's house. I was so stiff for the next few days that I could hardly move, but everything else was back to normal. A few weeks later, Maya and I did school again, only this time the big room was filled with grown-ups, not children. We sat up on a stage with lights in our eyes while a man talked in a loud voice. I wondered when Maya was going to talk and if the grown-ups would come and pet me, as the children always did. But that didn't seem to be the plan this time. After he was done talking, the man came over to me and put a second collar around my neck. I wondered why he was bothering to do this. I had my collar on already, and this other one was flimsy and silly. It hung too loosely and had a big, heavy metal dog tag on it that banged against my chest when I walked. The man also pinned something on Maya's uniform, and everybody clapped. She knelt down beside me while even brighter lights flashed around us like lightning with no thunder. So what do you think was happening there? Okay, look at the picture on page 187 and look at the collar. It looks like she got a big star for doing something wonderful. Maybe she's getting her picture taken. It wasn't as interesting as work or as real school, but I felt Maya's pride and love as she whispered that I was a good dog. Then Maya got back up. "Ellie, come, I have a surprise for you." She walked with me off the stage. All the people who had been watching us were now standing up talking in groups. A lot of them stopped to talk to Maya or shake her hand, and she smiled back happily. But she kept moving. I stayed by her side. Then she stopped. "There, Ellie, see?" I looked through legs, most of them in dark blue pants, and I saw why Maya had brought me here. A man was standing by himself wearing a suit and a tie, and with a small smile on his face. The man was Jacob. Maya let go of my leash and I bounded over to him. He stooped down, scratching my ears. "How are you, Ellie? Look how gray you're getting." He turned to a woman standing a little way behind him with a girl in her arms. The girl looked to be a year or two younger than Jeffrey, and her grin was far wider than Jacob's. "Daddy used to work with Ellie," the woman holding her said. "Did you know that, Alyssa?" "Yes," the girl said, squirming to get down. "I want to pet Ellie." Can she, Jacob? The woman asked. Of course. Alyssa ran forward and hugged me. I braced myself so she would not tip me over, and I licked her face. She giggled, and Jacob laughed. I had never heard Jacob laugh like that before. Over Alyssa's head, I looked at Jacob. He was so different from when I lived and worked with him. The coldness inside had gone away. I'm glad you're doing this community outreach program, Jacob told Maya. A dog like Ellie needs to work. I heard the word work and wagged my tail as Jacob came and knelt down beside Alyssa and me. But there was no urgency in the word, no sense that we were about to find anyone. Jacob just always talked about work. That was his way. Maya hovered in the background, exchanging smiles with the woman who'd been holding Alyssa. She was the girl's mother, I realized, and Jacob was the girl's father. He had a family now, and he was happy. That's what was different. In all the time I'd known him, Jacob had never been happy. I had never thought that Jacob might be lost or might need saving. He was the one who helped me save other people. But now it almost felt as if Jacob had finally been found. We've got to get you home, honey, the woman said to the girl. Can Ellie come? Alyssa asked. Everybody laughed. It was nice to be there with both Maya and Jacob. I eased down to the floor, so happy I thought I might take a nap. Ellie, Jacob said. He bent down and took hold of my face gently, looking into my eyes. The feel of his rough hands on my fur took me back to when I was a puppy, first learning to work. I wagged my tail, thumping it on the floor. I knew that soon I'd go home with Maya, that my place in my work was with her now, but I was still full of love for this man. Good girl, Jacob said gently, and I heard tenderness in his voice. I could tell that he loved Alyssa and her mother, and for the first time I could sense that he also loved me. A good dog, Jacob told me. Ellie, you're a good dog. Okay, well that is the end of our book, and I hope that you really liked it. Chapter 18 was exciting and brought everything to a close. Jacob is finally happy, and Ellie senses that he is, and she realizes that he really loves her. And Maya and Al are happy, and Ellie, even with her nose injury, was able to do her important work, find and save the boy. Okay?